The one time I decided to watch AEW with two eyes open instead of one, I catch the shittiest Dynamite in months. AEW has been on a good month stretch from the Owen Hart tournament to MJF vs. Ospreay to Blood and Guts and to a shaky Dynamite last week that was still decent. Now this shit was unimportant from the start. Let's not say the start. From 8:30 all the way till 10 o'clock. The little bit of overrun they had in the beginning was the best thing on the card, the best thing tonight, and it was decent, and it progressed storylines for their biggest show of the year all in. But if you want the biggest show of the year to feel like the biggest show of the year, the most important show of the year, the most watched show of the year, the most attended show of the year, you have to build it within your primetime slot on your biggest show. And that did not happen. Everything felt unimportant. Everything from 8:30 to 10 o'clock, it was unimportant. The night started August 7th, Wednesday night. MJF versus Kyle Fletcher. MJF came down, did his entrance with his title, flag dropped behind him. That was a cool visual. Now this match was good. Good way to open the show. MJF is your biggest draw. It's proved in the ratings. He held the ratings from start to finish in his Ospreay match. He opened up Blood and Guts, was also a decently rated show. MJF is the biggest draw on AEW with Punk and Cody leaving. It's been that way since. He had a big storyline with Adam Cole, even though it was blown off in a terrible way. He was the biggest draw then. He came back, he's the biggest draw now. And he probably has what is built to be the most important match on the card. Against Ospreay at All In. So MJF versus Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher, Ospreay's bro. We seen him make his AEW debut with Ospreay, with Aussie Open. He faces him in a match. They've been calling each other for each promos on Collision. The match finished with near close falls, near false finishes. Then a tombstone, near fall again, leading to Don Callis leaving the commentary table, which he was. He gave Kyle Fletcher that screwdriver that he always gives Ospreay to, but Ospreay always hesitates and never uses it. But Kyle Fletcher did the same thing. He hesitated. He didn't use it. He threw it out the ring. Paul Turner, the referee, is distracted. MJF kicks him in the balls, leading to a kangaroo kick, which he said he'll beat him with on a promo on Collision. Brainbuster, 1, 2, 3. That was the match. It was a good match. It was about, 17, 18 minutes. I liked the match. There was a lot of little details that I got out of this match. It was MJF kicking out the screwdriver, which I love MJF's little details. He makes everything feel real. He tries to make everything feel real, like MJF kicking out the screwdriver so the ref can't blame him for the screwdriver. And while Fletcher's down. And also Excalibur even mentioning that they are at the halfway mark of the 30-minute time limit. That's something they didn't do in the Ospreay match. They didn't announce it until there was a minute to go. Something they did right there. Announce the time limit. The match was good. It's going to open. It's probably going to draw the biggest rating in the show. It was the best thing on the show. It progressed the storyline because after the match, MJF attacked Kyle Fletcher. And in the back, it showed Ospreay escaping from a room he was trapped in. I guess that was set up by MJF. Then he came running down, saved Fletcher, who was already bloodied from getting pounded by MJF's ring. MJF hightailed out through the crowd. And this led to more conflict. So it's a story within a story. So to have a story after the story is over, whether MJF wins the title or Ospreay does it, I'm seeing Ospreay versus Fletcher, I think. So I don't know if MJF wins the title, which puts me in a predicament. Who's going to win, Ospreay or MJF? Looks like Ospreay might have a feud after MJF, so I never know here. Let's see some more conflict between Ospreay, Fletcher, and Callis. They're both in the ring staring at each other. Ospreay arguing with Callis that he caused this to happen. It's interesting stuff. This is the most interesting stuff in AEW. Ospreay and MJF and Danielson and Swerve. It's the only thing that interests me right now. Not even Mariah May. That's lost heat after a month ago. They've been doing the same brawling, and it happened again on the show. Brawling again. It's the same shit. This is the only thing that's going, the only thing that's good stuff. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the rematch in Ospreay's hometown, especially MJF with this new American Hero gimmick going into England. I want to see how the crowd reacts. Next, we got a video package explaining the match between Bryan Danielson and Jeff Jarrett, which I wasn't even aware about, to be honest. I don't watch Collision, I don't watch Rampage, I don't know what's going on, unless they announce the match. Unless they announced the match on Dynamite the week before, I have no clue what's going on. But they have a video package explaining Bryan Danielson and Jeff Jarrett's match to come and actually why this match is happening. It actually got me interested in this main event. Jeff Jarrett in the main event, I thought the ratings might go kapoof and this match is going to be boring. Was I right? Was I wrong? I don't know, but this package got me interested. The small feud between the two after 2 weeks of Jeff saying Bryan Danielson is not ready and helping him win the Owen Hart tournament, Jeff Jarrett, fairly, yet telling him he's not all in. Now, why was this match anything goes? This package didn't explain it. Jeff Jarrett basically just said he called for anything goes match. So that didn't explain anything. So I don't know why this was anything goes. It didn't make any sense, which is another problem with AEW. But Ricky Jake Steamboat's also there for some reason. I don't know, but that's fine. I guess he can be on commentary. That's perfectly fine with me. I don't care about Ricky Jake, but more of why is this match anything goes? No one knows. Next match, Mariah May versus Viva Van. Jabba. It's good to get her TV time in a feud like with Mariah May. You can't feud a woman. It's not going to make it any more interesting. It's just going to make the matches, the show longer. Feed her actual rehos to go a 10-minute match. Not supposed to give her a jobber. Make her look strong going into All In. She's probably going to win the title, in my opinion. Good to get her TV time, but I truly didn't care. The match, of course, against the Jabba was Move commercial. Then Move Storm Zero. Hit her with Tony Storm's finishing move. 1, 2, 3. Mariah May wins. She's presented with a gift. It's a picture of Mariah May and Tony Storm hugging back when they were a tag team. On the back, it says, "Die, Mariah, die." The crowd popped. Tony appears behind her and sparks a brawl. Refs break it up. It's a cool thing of Tony Storm showing up everywhere in this feud. Everywhere Mariah May is, Tony Storm is. It's like a stalker. She wears this all black suit and a wig. She looks crazy. So it's cool stuff, but it's the same shit every week. I mean, can we switch it up? Do something else. So maybe Mariah May attacks her or something. I don't know. This is getting boring. It's getting old. It's not making this any more interesting. The feud was hot. After the show of the Owen Hart tournament where she attacked her immediately. Now it's not. Then we get a backstage vignette from Jack Perry watching over himself getting set on fire at All In. After the break, it's the promo from Darby Allin saying Jack Perry all he has to do is show up at All In. Here we go. The weekly dead point of the show. 8:30 to 9:30. This week I'm going to declare it 8:30 to 10 o'clock. The weekly dead point of AEW. This is where the ratings go down and the mid-carders, the low carders. It's just full of random people, random wrestlers that have nothing to do. Looks like 8:30 to 9:30 in AEW TV is a damn Rampage episode. Which is bad because that's half the show. That's a whole hour. That's how it's been this whole year. It's Bad Apple Brian Keith versus Shibata. The Bad Apple Brian Keith, it's rotten. It's garbage. It's terrible. Get this off the screen. I didn't even want to watch this. I'm just going to say Shibata made Brian Keith tap. Chris Jericho and Big Bill were on commentary. They get off commentary to beat Shibata. Then Hook comes back for the save, running Jericho and the crew out the ring. I have nothing on this match. It's boring. We don't care about Chris Jericho. Until he goes full villainous mode, no one cares. This is terrible. It's going on for way too long. Hook is being wasted in this feud with someone that doesn't talk. A mid-wrestler in Brian Keith, the Big Bill. He could be someone else's muscle or be a serious muscle. No, he's just walking around making jokes. Chris Jericho, hi guys, hi. It's boring. This isn't doing nothing for AEW. This is going to be the low point in the ratings. I'm already going to call it. This does not need to be on Dynamite. Now, the Hook return, that's cool, but this could have made its way to Rampage or Collision where no one watches the show. And it's proven consistently. The segment after the Undertaker falls off a cliff. The ratings record low for the show. Now, Hook and Jericho, it's cool now. It could be a pay-per-view feud, but Collision could build feuds. Rampage could be feuds. Put that shit on there. No one wants to watch this. This is your most viewed show, and you're going to make it your least viewed show. You're just going to make it less viewed. Then a backstage promo from Orange Cassidy said he found two local teammates, which I already knew was FTR there in North Carolina, to help him in his match. It's a conglomeration. What a weird name. Couldn't travel due to travel issues, which is a hurricane, actually. So they really couldn't travel from Texas, I believe they were, wherever they were at. So just Orange Cassidy. He needs two tag partners to team against Roosh, Mort's the Beast, Mortis and Roderick Strong, another random pairing. And there's the other backstage promo of Hangman promising to get what he wants on Swerve, leading to a sit-down interview with Swerve and Jim Ross that was advertised throughout the night. It was a good interview. It explained Swerve's approach in this match of ignoring Danielson, hyping up him, saying it's his last match, and this will be his last match. He's saying he's going to ignore all that. He doesn't care, because if this was his last match, no one would care. And JR is good in these roles because you could take him seriously and believe the wrestlers actually take him serious due to his status and credibility. His interviews wouldn't work without Jim Ross, and they're really good stuff. It feels like a real sport when they have these interviews with Jim Ross, and it's really good. Continuing the weekly downfall slot of AEW is the Orange Cassidy 6-man match that we were just talking about. And who were his partners? It was, in fact, FTR. This match could also be on a show no one cares about. It's useless. It doesn't do anything to contribute to the biggest show of the year, All In. These wrestlers probably won't have a good feud. Won't have a feud. It's 2 weeks out. So these wrestlers aren't probably going to be on the card unless they're thrown together. It's unimportant. It's 4 random wrestlers. FTR and 4 random wrestlers put together. I love FTR. I always like what they do. I'm usually hooked onto the TV, but this shit sucked. And it was boring. And FTR and Orange Cassidy, unsurprisingly, they got the win in a match that felt way too long with wrestlers that are random. I mean, the Undisputed Kingdom, are they even the Undisputed Kingdom anymore? Got Matt Taven and Mike Bennett at ringside doing nothing. Roderick Strong just throwing everywhere. He's like the main event guy on Collision right now. Because no one's there and no one cares. Collision had a record low rating, even though it was SummerSlam. It's still incredible, 189,000. They weren't in the normal time slot, you could say that. But they've been going downhill for weeks and weeks now. This could have been used for other wrestlers that are on AEW TV week to get built up for after All In. To get on to wrestlers that are going to have a feud on All Out card. That's just 2 weeks after. And somebody that will actually have a significant storyline at Wembley. I mean, there's not enough interesting stories going in Wembley. I mean, Britt Baker, do you really care about that? Even though that was built on this show. MJF, do you care about that? Bryan Danielson, care about that? But that's it. Tony Storm, maybe. That's it. Nothing else. At this point, I truly didn't care about anything that happened on this show besides the open. It sucked. It's meaningful. But we move on. Camille is in a 1v2 match against another 2 Jabas. I'm perfectly fine with it. She's getting that Wardlow treatment. Next to Mercedes Moné. It was successful when Wardlow did it until they booked him when he left. It was terrible. But it was successful. And this obviously won't be as successful, but it builds up someone, and at the same time, it involves Mercedes Moné and her all-in build, which is perfectly fine. And I think All Out will deal with Camille and Mercedes Moné in a tag match against Britt Baker and probably someone like Jamie Hayter that comes back. So it's perfectly fine. This built something. I'm not going to complain about this. After the match, of course, Camille won. Mercedes Moné cuts a promo on Britt Baker that gets no reaction. It's dry. It's terrible. You can tell WWE was working their magic when she was cutting promos over there, because this shit that she's been cutting sucks. Past that, Tony Schiavone gets on the mic, breaks the news that Tony Khan has lifted Britt Baker's suspension, and Britt Baker is going to join them via satellite right now. Even though there's no back and forth throughout this whole satellite interview. I mean, it was obviously pre-recorded. Yet the stuff Britt Baker cut in this promo was way better than Mercedes Moné. Some of the better shit that was on the show. It's better than 75% of the show. It did what it did what it needed to do by building to All In. One takeaway though is, where has Tony Khan been overruling the Young Bucks this whole time? The storyline between the power rift in AEW with the Young Bucks versus Tony Khan, the EVPs versus Tony Khan. It's been nothing. It's been terrible. There's no conflict. Like Tony Khan, he got TK Driver, whatever that's what they want to call it. He goes back 2 weeks later. Christopher Danielson isn't doing shit. He's not putting Taz. He didn't put Taz back on commentary a couple weeks ago when they took him out. There's no Tony Khan invoking stopping the Elite. And the Blood and Guts match I thought was for power in AEW. Team AEW trying to fight back power to bring it back to Tony Khan, and EVP trying to fight for power so they could keep all the power. No, it was just a random Blood and Guts match for people that want to risk their bodies for AEW. They're all AEW. They're all in. There was no giving back power, control, beat down for power. There's no. So at least we saw Tony Khan showing his power for once and overruling the Elite. There was the dead hour, 9:30 to 10:30. I'm pretty sure I missed a promo in between them, but it was nothing significant. Now, no, I got distracted watching the Pirates versus the Padres. It was a really good game, actually. I'd watch my boy Tanner Scott pitch. Now it's time for the main event, which I was looking forward to due to that video package I said. And Ricky Dragon Steamboat. Bryan Danielson, he always puts on a good match. Jeff Jarrett, he's a good wrestler. I was looking to the match more and more as the night went on because the night got worse as it went on. Bryan Danielson gets hit with Jarrett's guitar at the top of the stage as soon as he makes his entrance, so hot to start, get the crowd going, so it's not a boring lockup to start the match. Get the crowd going fast with these two wrestlers. And it gets more intriguing. They start fighting in the crowd. They lead to the concourse. It looks like a school lunch brawl with everybody, all the fans huddled around them. Fight while they're fighting. Actually looks pretty cool. They went to break. Back to the ring they are. Jeff Jarrett was in control the whole time so from the match until Danielson began to fight back. Did his fight back, his little corner flip, fought back. I enjoyed this match, despite it being a little boring at times. It wasn't too long for a Danielson match. I enjoyed the match compared to everything else on the card. It didn't involve much weapons and shenanigans, which I like. We didn't see 6 run-ins. I thought we'll see a run-in by Sanjay Dutt setting up. We didn't see any of that. After a series of his changing submission moves and Danielson throwing blows, Danielson picked up the chair that they were using, put the chair on his knee, and Psycho kneed him with the chair to his face. 1, 2, 3. Both guys showed respect after the match. Good match. I thought they were going to actually end the show at 10 o'clock. Nope. Swerve Strickland music hits. He makes his way to the ring to cut a promo basically to say Jeff Jarrett roughed up Bryan Danielson like he did. And Swerve is going to give him one hell of a fight. Also, he said he's not afraid to go for the kill shot, which he's pointing out to Bryan's neck injuries. He's not afraid to kill him. But then he says he wants a 2-minute match, also challenging Wheeler Yuta next week, who was besides Danielson at the time in the ring. Which I'm fine with. That match will ultimately build to All In, which I'm all about. Just build up to the pay-per-view and build stories. That's it. And you can have good matches, but just build the stories. Don't throw random 6 people into a match with no goal. And it should be a good match, as long as it doesn't go too long, which is a common problem in AEW. But the main event was ultimately enjoyable and obviously stood out. It was an extremely rough week for Aew Dynamite that screamed unimportance. One thing that I could have changed was Ricky Steamboat's role. He was alright on commentary, talking about the relationship he has between the two guys. He could have been much more effective as like an enforcer, special referee, which I don't see him doing as special referee, especially at WWE. There'll be like people screaming, there's a crappy in WWE, who cares? It progresses the storyline better, it tells more story, but whatever. The match was nothing special though. It wasn't as bad as the rest of the show. It was enjoyable, but it wasn't anything that will pull too much interest on TV. It's not something that you'll stay after you see it's open. Yet the promo did save this whole main event. It's like made it good. It took it from mid. It took it from alright to good. The promo showed the match, showed what Swerve's target is, and All In. What is he gonna do? And my closing opinions on the show is the opening and ending was strong. It showed why MJF versus Ospreay and Danielson versus Swerve on the marquee matches for All In. Yet it also showed that the rest of the show is not murky. And the build is much better produced and feels important between these two matches than anything else. The show for the last month are having the best Dynamites in a while. Yet it fell off this week. And of course, like always, in the 8:30 to 9:30 time slot when there's usual Dynamites besides the last month, that's when the show falls off, and that's when it starts being terrible and starts being shit. While Tony Storm and Mariah May do have an important build, and it was on this show. It's just getting repetitive. It's not effective. There needs to be more important stuff to build All In, the biggest show. It needs to represent the biggest show, built like it's the biggest show, but it wasn't this week. And the stuff that was important, like Danielson versus Jeff Jarrett, was also a little bit boring, but it got saved by the promo, like I said. So there's 2 problems that won't increase viewers' interest. Boring and unimportant television. Mix those 2 together, that's what you get. This episode, which filled AEW Dynamite, was boring, was boredom, and unimportance. In All In, I give this episode a 3 out of 10.